So first point of order, first thing we're going to deal and tackle today is we're going to have insight from the people that made the book possible. Not yet the author, but the editor, as well as the proofreader. So allow me to welcome to the front. Let's clap. Let's make it a great thing. Let's welcome Kosi as he comes up. Kosi was a proofreader on the book. And then also let's welcome Elijah, who was the editor on this book as well. Let's put our hands together and welcome them as they come. Thank you so much. Kosi, welcome. Please take your seat. Elijah, welcome. Please take your seat. So, thank you so much for being here first and foremost. I don't envy your jobs. I'll be terrible at any one of your two jobs. My attention to detail is horrible. So I'm excited to have you both here. You've been involved in this book in a very technical way. I think some people get invested in more emotional ways. You know, when they put the beginning of the book, I'd like to thank my husband who did nothing. Not in this case. Not in this case. Jesse, I was joking. Don't worry. I meant other people. You know, people write these forwards of the books and they write, "Oh, my children." What did your children do? These are the people that did something. So both of you have been involved in a variety of ways. And I just want us to kind of delve into what your involvement was. I think we'll begin with you, Elijah. So I guess first question I want to tell me a bit about yourself. Just a brief, don't have to tell us I was born here and then I was sent to buy bread one day. No, just tell us a bit about yourself and then we can continue.
Thank you so much and good evening to everyone. A brief about myself really is I've been in the WWW for about 18 years now. Blank faces, written, word, world, WWW. So yeah, in brief, I've been in the WWW for about 18 years now, in the media and comms industry, formerly editing, in relation specifically to book editing. I have edited now 4 books. This was my 5th and probably my most rewarding and my most intriguing editing work that I've worked on.
Let's hear from Kosi as well, who's next to you. Give us a brief about yourself as well.
My name is Kosi Butelezi. I am related or cousins with the husband that was thanked in the first page.
Don't come at me. It was just an unrelated joke. It had nothing to do with Jesse.
So I think I have the background of reading. I think that's what brings me here as a role. And then the editing as well as proofreading. So by the time the book was born, there was already an editor, and I then had to play the role of proofreading the words as well as the layout, and giving Jesse nightmares about how the cover looks and how the words are put together.
Okay, no, great. So let me stay with you first. You can continue, hold the mic. So I just want to know how you got involved. Obviously, you mentioned you're related. So I don't know, there's a word for this, nepotism. How you got involved in the project. But also you've mentioned editor, and I think just to presume we don't know. So what is an editor's involved? You mentioned layout and stuff like that. I don't know half the stuff that happens. I just think you go to the printer, say 1 book, and it comes out. I don't know. So tell us how you got involved, and then like what your actual dealings with the book were.
It's actually quite funny because I didn't know that Geletso was writing. I think she was keeping it a secret, and that's what we do. You know, you keep your baby a secret until it's ready for everyone else to see it. So I went to visit them, and I was complaining about a book I was editing at the time, and I was also editing a couple of business profiles. So this one particular one was giving me nightmares, and I felt like, okay, this is just something I need to just finish or let it go. And as I'm complaining, she says, "Oh, by the way, I'm writing a book, so would you be available to proofread?" And I thought, okay, so a book, proofread, fine. I have 2 books that I'm working on. Give it to me on this day. And when she gave it to me, it was the first time I read it. I didn't even know what she had written about. And to realize that she actually was writing about my niece and her pain, I think then that touched me you know, and sometimes you're a relative or you're there with people, but you never know what they go through until you see it in words. But you asked me about editing. I think people think writing a book is about putting words together, and it's beyond that. When you're doing it professionally, that is. But anyone can put words together. Everybody has a story to read or to write. But the technicality of it is other people don't even realize that firstly, you even need a writing coach before it even gets to editing. You need someone who's going to help you put the words on paper. Then somebody can correct your spelling and your punctuation and the grammar, and if it makes sense, or if you change your character in chapter 5. But at the end of it, you need someone to guide you through those words so that you can have the authenticity and be genuine about what you're telling.
I think the more you talk, I want to clap for Keletso again. Let's clap. Hey! I'm writing a book. It's not easy. Pass the mic over to Elijah. So same question to you. How did you get involved? And like as an editor, what was your like direct input?
Sure. So it was a very interesting development. I had just finished editing the 4th book. Was it in March? And then someone who's sitting right at the back there, I think, put it on the WhatsApp status. And then on that day, it so happened. I think it was just one of those divine encounters, really. It was just that divine moment. She puts out, and Habi has edited his 4th book, and yeah, it's out, blah, blah, blah. And then Sister K sees this status and say, you know, I've been looking for an editor for my book. Then she gets in touch with me. What's more divine about it is that she comes a day before I was to get my next project, my next book editing If she had come a day later, I was going to say, no, sorry, I'm already committed to my next book project. So she comes a day before I get this one, and I'm like, well, I suppose it was meant to happen. And I mean, I didn't know at that stage that she was writing a book, and that's how we got the ball rolling. Yeah, my role really was just to work on, you know, just financing the art or the craft that she had put down on in words, and just editing it such that, you know, it's a great read. I mean, she will tell you now that I'm a stickler for detail and I'm stickler for excellence and quality. And yeah, that's what I insisted on throughout every phase of the editing, that we have to get it 100% right. Otherwise, there's no use putting out a product. If yeah, one of the things that is a complete turn off if you want to write a book is you open the first page and you get a grammatical error. So my role was really to find that and make sure that it is killed and it's eliminated. And yeah, it was really an exciting journey.
You know you're dealing with an editor when they use words like stickler. How many of you in the room, by show of hands, have used the word stickler in any sentence ever in your life? Not me. I'll be using it, and for some reason I know what it means. I think it's television, but I've never used it in a sentence. You know, I'm a stickler for detail. Like I just feel the word needs to come with a British accent attached. You can't just say, no, stickler. Some of you are going to go to a petrol station. How much? Stickler, 400, please. Please use the words in context. Let's not abuse English. So, continuing with the line of questioning, if you have to use one word, obviously it's difficult for a man who's been in the WWW. I thought you were going to say WWE. I was like, whoa. But the world of words, you've been involved in that for so many years. It's going to be difficult to kind of pick one word to describe the book. But try your best. If you were to describe the project and the work in one word, what word would you use? Someone suggested stickler.
Well, yeah, it is difficult because there's just a lot of words that are racing in my mind right now. But describing the book, I think I'll go with impactful. Yeah, it was such an impactful book in many senses. I know you wanted one word, so I'm going to give you one word and 2 sentences.
I saw you fighting. You know, you give one word. Hey, I must explain. Go for it. You said impactful. Why did you choose that one?
So impactful in the sense of how the book has an impact on anyone who's going to read it. It just definitely is going to leave you impacted in a way, insofar as, you know, your relation to the grief process, the bereavement process, and related processes is concerned. You will be impacted. You're going to have some specific takeaways, but also impactful in a sense that you look at Bubu Nombuso and how she impacted her life, short as it was, made an impact in the world. So yeah, in those two senses, I would go with impactful, even though, like I say, there's a sea of other ways that are clamoring for me to utilize just to.
A sea of words clamoring for me to utilize. Baba, pass the mic, pass the mic. Aye, the next sermon I preach will be wild. Yeah, so I'm just getting a commercial break. We're back online. So, there is a sea of words that are clamoring for my attention. I tell you, the next sermon I'm preaching, fire and brimstone. As I dove deep into the word, there were a sea of words. Anyway, let me move on. So, same question to you. If you were to pick one word to describe the project, which one would you use? Which words are clamoring? And from the clamoring words, select one.
Yeah, I was so excited that you used clamoring, because then I could give you 5.
Pick the winner of the clamorage.
I really, really wanted to say insightful first, but I think I will go with love. It sounds strange, but there is so much love in the book. It is a love between a husband and a wife. It is a love of expectation when they created a human that was meant to bring them more love. It is the love journey with God throughout the book. It is finding new meaning to love for the two when what they expected is no longer there. So there is so much love in the sharing that she does throughout the book, in the tips that she gives the people that are going through the journey she went through. So I'll go with love.
Okay, no, sure. Let's stay with you. I think, especially with you, you've mentioned your relation to the husband, obviously directly related to the situation. So I guess, give me a personal anecdote or something that happened while you engaged the reading. Obviously, you were looking at the reading from a technical perspective, trying to find issues, because that's what your jobs are. Let's be serious. You are looking for problems. Come my way, hyphen, what's going on? So while you were looking for issues technically, right, and reading the book, what happened, like, in a personal way while reading the manuscript?
So when you do editing, you have ways or means to get it done. There's tools I use. You know that you're looking at words. Sometimes you read and you forget that you need your glasses, and then at some point your headache tells you get your glasses. But I went through the book with that mentality of, I'm the proofreader. Someone has edited it. I don't want to step on toes. So that the author firstly doesn't recognize their own words, and then the editor doesn't realize the work they've done. So just keep to your lane. But then I got to a chapter where she takes you through the experience with Nombuso, from the time she knew or figured out that she's pregnant to the point of loss. And you sometimes realize that you are with people, you are part of their experience, but you don't really realize what they go through. And she painted a picture, especially when she was still in hospital. And I was one of the visitors in hospital, but it felt strange. It felt like I was seeing it for the first time, experiencing it for the first time through her eyes. And I was trying to find myself, like, okay, there's all these people you're seeing, where's me? And then I had to remember, oh, hold on, you're not here about you being in the story. You're here to actually see that she delivers the story in the most impactful way.
That's good. So, guys online, also in the room, I'm a generous man by nature. At least I like to think so. Everyone thinks they're generous until they have to give a big amount, but I'm not giving my books, so I'm very generous. So you mentioned there's a chapter where she deals with this situation, like how she came, the whole process of knowing and everything. Who in the room knows which chapter it is? If you get the chapter number right, I'll give you a book. No, she didn't say the chapter. That's why it's a test. If she said it, it would have been a question of memory. There we go. Chapter 3. I got a chapter 3. We got a chapter 1. Going once. Anyone else want to throw a chapter number? We got chapter 4. So we got chapter 3, 1, 4. Anyone else want to try? Chapter 20. Oh. Security. Can you please take this man to the lobby? As promised, I'll see you after. Not for the good laying of hands. Okay, so we've got chapter 3, 1, and 4. So I guess you're the perfect people here to tell us which one is correct.
Sure, you expect me to remember? How you embarrass me like this?
I'm just.
What's wrong
no,
with
the book
you?
is right there. It's an open book exam.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, there you are.
Somebody knows
Yes.
the answer.
Chapter 1. Oh. Let's clap, ma. Yeah. There you go. Yes. If you've already got a book, you can give that as a gift. It makes a good gift. No, so perfect. So I'll be doing this throughout, so make sure you're paying attention. Don't zone out. So another question I have for you, and I guess this is more on the technical side, just to cater to everyone in the room. You know, some of us I like watching documentaries because I love knowing how things work. I like knowing how airplanes function, all these different types of things. So if you're not that type of person, just bear with me for this question. You mentioned that certain tools that you use for editing and proofreading, and you probably have other tools like this as well yourself. Now, I struggle to read books. Like, you can grab the mic. I read books, but I struggle to read them quickly. Now, in your job, where you're not just reading to finish, you're reading to actually make sure everything is coherent, make sure everything makes sense, everything is sequential. You guys notice the words I'm using. Clap for me. Oh. I'm using all my English bundles, no one is clapping. Soon I'll just be no more. So all these different things that you have to make sure happen for the book to be a good read. How do you do that? And how do you even have time to do anything else?
Wow, so it's I think the ways that you used are befitting because it's quite a humongous question that you're asking.
These words things, you know.
Yeah, so I mean the trick for me is that you cannot edit before you have the full picture. And I think this is where I don't even think I told the author about this, but I think week 3 into, and I mean obviously it's a part-time after hours weekend job. So weekend 3 into the editing process, I had not read the full book and I had 5 weekends to edit it. So you can imagine, and my aim was just to work on it only on weekends. So the first trick is that you need to read the book fully. You don't open page 1 and start editing. You need to read, because once you start editing, you miss what is chapter 3 or what is right at the end. So you must read throughout. So yeah, weekend 3 into it, because of work pressures, I'm not even done reading it. The pressure was obviously too much. There are timelines. There's obviously obligations to meet. So that is the first trick, is that you have to obviously read the full entire manuscript before you start the editing work. And then as you get into the editing, you actually have the fuller perspective. But I think she really made it very easy, to be honest, for an editor. To be honest, I mean, I've known Pastor K for the longest time. I never thought her writing, I was never aware, obviously, of her level of writing. You know, the proficiency in her writing is just, you know, it took me by surprise, to be honest. When I was young in journalism, sub-editors used to say there are certain journalists, I worked for a Sunday paper then, they'll be like, there are certain journalists, when they open the paper on Sunday, the only thing that they recognized about the story that they thought they wrote is their byline. That's how much. Byline is the name, basically, is the name by Elijah Moholola. That's the only thing you recognize. The rest has been changed. But in a case, I'm sure she could still recognize, like, what, 80-90%, I think, of her original text. That's how easy she made the editing process. It was really well written. It was flowing. And I think similar to the experience for me, similar to Kosi's experience, it was just that thing of how, because I was also involved, you know, the hospital visits, the service at church, and the funeral itself, and just how she took you there. And you know that I've been there, but there are certain perspectives that I was not even aware of. Like, it just, yeah, there were certain moments where I had to edit in my own space. such that you know where there's that conglomeration between the emotional and the personal and the professional. You just needed to get that moment to yourself to say, you know, it's a pause moment where I reflect as an individual and then carry on. So it was really much very much a similar experience where you have to divorce the personal and the professional in a sense.
Right? Hey, people are eating this language of English. So, Kosi, I want to kind of put a different hat on your head. You're an editor, you're involved in books, and you read proficiently and profusely. Woo, I'm here. Sihua. So I want to put on a hat of a marketer. So if someone has not yet purchased the book because it's got a big audience online, plus those in the room that may not purchased it yet, what would you do as a marketing pitch to say why this book needs to be bought? Why it needs to be a book that's on your bookshelf? I know I'm putting you on the spot because
I don't do marketing.
you're the best placed person. So
I am. I think the title tells it all. I never saw her eyes. It's a story of a mother and a father that never got to see the eyes. I know that it's written by Keletso as in the mother's perspective, but the best thing she did, which for me is the biggest selling point in this book, is that we hardly acknowledge the feelings that fathers go through when there is a loss. And one of the chapters in the book is a story told in the perspective of the husband. The husband that she got to nail very well, which I enjoyed. I mean, the way that she tells the story as the husband would relate it. So for once, you have a book that will give you a perspective of the husband, and not even in some made up or perfected way or a logical way, but in the very words and in the mannerism that my cousin is. He's all over the place. And if he can't tell you things in words, he will put it in a painting. He sells his story through a picture. So before you even read the story, just look at the cover. When you have an author that says, I never saw her eyes, and yet you have the most protruding eyes, the most engaging eyes in that cover. And now you see her imagination of what she sees or feels this would have been the moment when she seen her daughter. So for me, buy it, not just to read about their story, but to also take a journey through your own grief. Because believe me, once you are done crying for her, you will cry for yourself. And you will get the support and the words and the techniques that she learned as she was dealing with her own grief. It is not just for one person. It is not just for a grieving mother or father. It is just for someone who's ever suffered a loss.
Oh, that's good. Let's put our hands together for that. The author wants to buy her own book, you know. But before I let you go, I know you're both shy. You know, editors and proofreaders are backstage people. They don't like being in the forefront. Before I let you go back to your places of safety, anyone have a question on the floor that they want to pose to proofreader and editor in front of me? Also online, if you have it. Oh, there we go. You also looked, yeah, that academic look. Maybe it's the glasses, eh? Go for it. Slay us with your knowledge.
start here as well. It gives me so much hope. The cover is so beautiful, and the colors are so hopeful. Congratulations again. The cover is so beautiful for what's inside it. Let me put it that way. But the question that I do have for you guys is, you know, writing in a space that I write professionally, and that's more of like a technical writing where you know the rules. You are just like, put consumer first, do this, do that. And then writing a book is where you draw from yourself mentally, spiritually, emotionally. You are literally drawing from the book. So, what advice would the two of you have for someone who wants to tell their story? Where do you start? What's the intrinsic core of where you start?
Sure. Do we have the whole night?
Oh, let's give an abridged version. You can chat afterwards, face to face,
You see,
because you are fighting at the same level. Some of us
Yeah.
got lost there.
I was about to use the
After
exact way
intrinsic
that,
core, I was like, now they're talking about physics.
so he's coming up to the level of, good language usage. It's like abridged version. It's not saying the short version. It's like abridged. So he's getting there. But quickly, and I
Yeah.
think this is one of the things, there's many elements really, but the three that I'm going to give are exactly what we have in this book. It's, I forgot to mention that I regard myself as a construction worker, somebody who uses words to construct meaning. So some of the words I use might not necessarily be in the dictionary. So bear with me on that. So three things that I'm going to give, which you get from this book as well, is the applicability, the practicality, and the relativity. That's, if you have those three elements, for me, you have a book. The story must be applicable. You get something that is applicable to all of us in this. We've all gone through a loss of some sorts, whether it's loss of a fellow family member, friends, colleague, etc. We've all gone through that, or any other loss apart from loss of human life. That is what makes this relativity. We can all relate with the story that she's telling. And now applicability is that whatever you get out of here is applicable to everyday life. I mean, I felt at some stage, and I think I did tell her, at some stage I feel like I'm a robber, because, I read this for free, without paying for my copy. Whereas immediately after finishing it, I could, even with subsequent bereavements of friends, colleagues, etc., I could actually apply what I learned from here. I could know. Simple example is when she told in the book, she tells us about when somebody's going through a period of bereavement or grief. Don't say, know that I'm there for you. Give them those options. That I can go do shopping for you, I can go drive you, I can. That's something so practical that you take, and I've ran with since then. Somebody who's bereaved, I'm able to say to them, instead of, I'm there for you, I'm able to say, I know you're going to have to travel home. We are all not from, most of us are economic refugees here. So you're going to have to travel home. You're going to need to go to the airport. Can I drop you off there? While you are gone, is there anything? Do you have a dog that needs to be looked after? So you throw those things. So that is basically, for me, in the abridged version, in the succinct version, that is basically the three that I can give, because we don't have the whole evening.
What a wow. Now we're doing a game of synonyms. Abridged, succinct. What's next?
So I just have, I don't know. I can't count for now. I do better with words than with numbers. The practicality of it is, if you want to write, open that page, put the first word down. You'll get to that technicality of, is it applicable? Is it relative, whatever. But the first thing you must do is take a piece of paper and a pen and write. And once you decide to start, set yourself time on a daily basis and just put words down. It doesn't matter what you're saying. It doesn't matter if they make sense. Don't even think about the sequence of chapters. Put the words down. Once you get into that discipline, your mind will start bringing forth memories that are applicable. Then you can go through the process of find someone to guide you through it. They call it a writing coach in the technical terms. before you even think of editing and whatever else. Just put the words down, get to a whole number, and then get someone to guide you through it. They can help you with the sequencing. They can help you on how it flows. They can see if it makes sense or it doesn't. Then you can bring in someone to edit. Start.
Let's put our hands together and appreciate our editor and proofreader. Thank you so much. Come on, clap properly. Clap like you want to. Thank you so much. Now we appreciate